Thank you, Jackie, and thank you, everybody. I wasn't going to bring it up, but Helen did. So we are going to have to think about Featherston Street this evening. And I was thinking of calling a moment of silence for what might have happened in Featherston Street had everything gone according to plan. In fact, it would have been a mecca for everybody in the room and every timber architect and engineer in the world to rock along Featherston Street, that risky Featherston Street that Helen Anderson, world seismologist, will tell you is one of the most risky places to build in the world, and there would have been a very tall building there. That was the moment's silence. Now, we were going to wrap this up by inviting a multi-millionaire property mogul from Wellington this evening, who was thinking tall in timber, to actually wrap up this evening, but we didn't. And in fact, I think Debbie He is now off the Christmas card list for the timber industry. So let me just whip right along here with everything else you saw here this evening. Absolutely fantastic. And we still wait for Featherston Street to be conquered, and I'm sure it will, which is great. Earlier on this week, I was in quite elevated company. Not that I'm not an elevated company this evening, but elevated company. The sort of company where you can sort of feel the money in the room that drives the economy, the very being of New Zealand. And these are the sort of people that put huge amounts of money into the very center of what this whole industry is about, and that is into forestry. I was in a room with all the big investors in New Zealand forestry. The New Zealand Super Fund of Australia, the big funds out of California, out of Canada. And I learned a new word from them. They're all down here talking about investment and that kind of thing, and I just rocked up eyes and ears of the industry. That's what I'm paid to do, so I was sitting in the back row. And they taught me a new word. They taught me this new word, which is thrivability. Thrivability, I said. Yeah, he said, yeah, son, this sustainability stuff is finished. So next year, we won't be talking, Debbie, about sustainability. Thrivability is the word. And I said, what is this thrivability thing? And they said, look, son, the reason why we put so much money into the forest industry, the growing industry of New Zealand, is because we're trying to create thrivability with our investments. The New Zealand Super Fund puts your money into New Zealand forestry because it's trying to create thrivability in the communities that are out there in the forests. And I guess what I really came through this evening is what this industry about representing this evening is the end of that chain that is trying to create thrivability. So the big investors are there pumping money into forests. They want to see those forests grow and expand. Our ministers want to see 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion, whatever it is today, more trees out there. But the investors, all of us in the room, want to see every part of the value chain thrive on the investment and the effort that we're putting in. And I think that's the message that WPMA carries out there, is that we really want to see the whole value chain benefit. So I really appreciate the effort that the specifier community, the designer community, the engineers, the architects put into producing these beautiful structures. And just recognizing that throughout this, you've got communities throughout New Zealand that are turning trees into really useful products. We don't have a minister here this evening. Shane Jones would have been here, and if he had been here, he's in Japan tonight, I think, what he would have said is, and he said it in Whangarei in November, and my chair was there to see this happen, I'm going to see this industry thrive. We're still holding our breath. It's going to happen, I can tell you. It's definitely going to happen. We're still, as an organisation, WPMA, putting pressure on the political parties out there to deliver for the industry. We're in Rotorua next week talking big politics. If you thought there was an issue around logs for jobs, and PAM and Prefab New Zealand have promoted logs for jobs as being an issue, we don't want to see those logs going offshore. We want to see them converted into this via jobs in New Zealand. You ain't seen nothing yet. We're going to get bigger on this. So that's definitely what we're about. In concluding this evening, what I want to do is thank the people behind the scenes. And people you can't see, or that referenced earlier on. Debbie, Lizzie, Jeanette and Jeff, can you guys stand up, please? Because this wouldn't happen without the WPMA staff putting all that effort into it. I don't think Jeff stood up, did he? Because he's actually modelling the 1970s 007 bow tie there, if you haven't seen that. With a bit more funding from our members, we could probably run to a tie next year for Jeff, but we're looking forward to that. I also want to thank our judges, because you did a tremendous job, and just sitting next to Pam, who kept mentioning prefab to me every 5 minutes, but so I did it again. But thank you very much to our judges. It's a fantastic job you do behind the scenes. I know you don't see it, but this job goes on for months and months and months, trying to get it down to the final few you see here. So congratulations to everybody who actually put an entry in, because what you're seeing actually is the cream of the crop. I want to thank our sponsors. WPMA, Resine, Carter Harvey Wood Products, Duke of New Zealand, Lonza New Zealand, Ministry of Primary Industries, Nelson Pine Industries, the New Zealand Farm Forestry Association, Red Stag, Scion, Niagara, Taranaki Pine, Timberlab Solutions, Timber Design Society, the Wide Trust with $700,000 to spend. Keith Mackey's sitting over there, I can see him. I'll pass you his telephone number if you're interested. And Exlam New Zealand, thank you very much for your sponsorship. And just finally, I just want to thank the WPMA members and the board that are in the room, because without your guys' support for what we're doing here, none of this would happen. So thank you very much for supporting the industry, the wider industry, and together, let's thrive. Thank you.